Good morning, everybody. It's Friday morning heading into work. I get asked probably on a weekly basis, one, I want to buy a tractor, what should I buy? Two, how much do they cost and how can I afford it? And three, how do I justify it? So the first one I'll start with is, one, understand what you need done. The sales guys, like specifically like PDQ, that guy sucks. I'll be honest, if you don't know what you want, he'll sell you whatever he's got and he'll make you a deal. And really, the deal is not even that great compared to a lot of other Kubota dealers if you're in the Temecula area. Two, understand what you're going to use it for. For me, I have slopes, so I need to track skid steers. A lot of my jobs aren't always even, and that's what gives me an advantage on some of the places I go to. I've got a really wide skid steer that does great on slopes, especially when it's brush hogging or clearing property or land. It keeps it from tipping over. I've got other stuff like my little mini skid steer that you stand up on, and it's 36 inches wide that lets me go in, and it's got a small bucket, but it does what it needs to in barns, stalls, tight quarters, those kind of things, where my skid steers really can't, or we got to take off panels to get to it. And I can't really maneuver sometimes with my skid steers because they're so big and wide. I've got a mini excavator that's probably 68 inch wide at the tracks. And I bought that so I could fit in a lot of the 72 inch wide gates. It's tight, but it's one of those things where it does its purpose. I've gotten into regular Gannon tractors now for the arena work mostly. But like the first one I bought, that Mahindra, was like 63 inches wide. And the reason I did that was because I couldn't get in some of the horse trail sections that I was maintaining. And so what I needed to be able to do was have a couple inches of leadway, but I wanted as much horsepower as I could. So I think I got the 39 horse Mahindra, but I spec'd out the width. Then I just bought this Coyote, the closed cab, because I wanted to be able to get as much horsepower as I could within reason and keep it narrow enough that it wasn't wider than my D-Rocker, which is like 92 inches wide or something. And also I wanted to be able to get a big enough unit that I could take the front loader off and not have to worry about having the loader on there for counterweight. So I can brush hog with it, I can till with it, I can pull the D-Rocker and have no issues with it. So again, a lot of it depends on what are you trying to do, where are you trying to use it, what are you trying to do with that. But again, I'm going to tell you again, horsepower is your best friend. Get as much as you can in whatever dimensions or whatever setup you need to get it in. Now, I'll tell you, Gannon tractors are cheaper to maintain. Tires last a lot longer. It's basically filters, a couple filters, an air filter, and just kind of daily maintenance type of thing, preventative maintenance. So my overhead repair-wise and maintenance costs on a Gannon tractor is way cheaper. Skid steers, they're pricey. I think I spend about $800 every 500 hours on just like hydraulic, fuel, oil, air filters. And that's not fluids, and I think the hydraulic fluid is probably like 15 gallons on most of my skid steers. So it does add up. Tracks are probably your bigger expense. I've had tracks that they're supposed to last 500 to 1,000 hours in general. I've had some last 250 hours, and it cost me $3,400 to replace, and that's just for the tracks. I put them on myself. It takes about an hour and a half to do both tracks once you know what you're doing. Also, as you're going through it, probably the least maintenance machine I've had is my mini excavator, but I don't use it as much as I use my skid steers. But when that maintenance comes, it's a little bit probably comparable to a skid steer as well. So those are things to think about as well. How do you afford it? You have to justify it. A lot of people don't know that, hey, I can buy used, but you're probably gonna, if you don't pay cash, you're gonna finance it with a much higher interest rate. If you buy it new, typically most of these tractor companies have specials for 36 to 82 months or 84 months or whatever the term they have, and most of the time it's like 0.9%, 1.9, 2.9. Worst case, you're like 3.2. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm not getting that if I leave my money in the bank. So why would I finance, or why wouldn't I finance? Sorry. For me, it's about cash flow. So I'm a little bit different than a typical homeowner. I want the cash to keep coming in. So like example, I bought that Coyote. I think I got 20 hours on it, so I've made probably, I don't know, $2,000 maybe, just ballparking, just a quick number off of it. And I haven't even made the first payment yet, and the payment's probably like $700. So for me, if my hours are logging faster than the payments coming in, I'm doing really good. And I'm using that Coyote quite a bit right now. So especially with this time of year and keeping the cab closed, it makes a big difference for me. The other thing also to consider is how often are you going to use it? If it's just so you can go take out the trash, there's probably a cheaper way or cheaper alternative. If it's you just want to putz around once in a while, then go rent one. Or if it's a little bit more, hire someone like me to come do your work. A lot of times what happens is you don't know how to run the machine. You think you're going to save money. The reality is you don't, because you don't know what you're doing, and you end up having to take longer. And you also have to spend more money. You also have to pay for fuel. You have to pay for your rental. I mean, a mini excavator is like $800 a day to rent. Plus your fuel is probably like 2 gallons of diesel an hour, maybe more, depending on what machine it is. Plus you got to have a truck to go get it, or you got to pay a delivery fee to have it delivered. So a lot of times people think, oh yeah, I'll just do it myself, but buy back your time. If you're not good at it, you've not done it. A lot of times what takes me 2 or 3 hours is going to take you a 10-hour day. Plus, you're probably going to screw it up and have to call me back. So, again, I'm just giving feedback for a lot of people that follow. One, know what you need and what you're going to use it for, and don't let the sales guys sell you crap that you don't need. I would recommend also renting sometimes ahead of time to try them out and figure out how it works on your property or whatever application you need. 2, consider buying new if you want to finance and get lower interest rates. Also, you can consider if you're going to buy used and you're paying cash, then you're probably going to save more money, but you may be inheriting someone else's problems as well. I like warranties on my equipment. And then 3 is just understanding what's the break-even point. Is it worth spending 20 grand on a little tractor that's going to sit and you're going to use it once a month? Or is it worth renting something or paying somebody to come do the work? Hopefully that helps you. I know I've shared some of these bits and pieces together, but after the conversations, I've had 2 or 3 of them in the last week with people, and I just kind of want to share my take on it.